Happy Sabbath. This is Pastor Wentland Paul bringing you another voice note. We affirm faith and we celebrate critical Christian thinking. This morning's topic, vulnerable but indestructible. Vulnerable but indestructible. An object lesson in resilience. An object lesson in resilience. The setting, a mid-morning hike on Marie Island, a small arid islet, about 1 kilometer off the coast of Vieux southern town of St. Lucia. There are trail winds that are low, dry forests as well as there is a bright Caribbean sun. The wind carries a salt scent of the sea. In the distance, fishing boats glide past the coastline. Two hikers, contemporary guy, late 20s, tech savvy and wearing appropriate hiker's gear and a cap. And Bible guy, mid 40s, calm demeanor, carrying a worn sack on his side with a water bottle and a small notebook as well as his Bible. They pause near a limestone bluff overlooking the turquoise shallows of the Caribbean Sea. Contemporary guy breaks the silence and his eyes looking at the sun and the channel between Maria Island and the mainland. This place feels raw, like nature stripped down to the bone. No fancy waterfalls or jungle vines, just wind, rock, and these tough little trees hanging on for their dear life. Bible guy kneeling to examine a patch of dry lichens in a rock's crevice. Yeah, it's not lush, but it's quite alive. Everything here has to be resilient. Roots digging deep, leaves conserving every drop. Contemporary guy. That's exactly what I was thinking about on the boat ride when we were getting here. I read this post last night on X about the tardigrades. Those microscopic water bears. They can survive in space, in boiling water, even decades without moisture, and even in sub-zero temperatures for over 30 years. They don't fight destruction. They just pause. When conditions improve, they wake up and keep going. Bible guy, standing and brushing dust off his pants and knowing look in his eye. This sounds like someone else I know from the Bible. Contemporary guy smiles and say, "You mean John the Revelator, right? The apostle?" Bible guy, yes, and he nods, gesturing to contemporary guy. Let's keep walking up the trail. The one who outlived every apostle, that's John. Not because he was bulletproof, but because he already met the life himself, the life giver. Contemporary guy. But how? I mean, tradition says he was thrown into boiling oil in Rome and walked away unharmed. Then the Domitian exile, then Domitian, who was the emperor at the time, exiled him to the Isle of Patmos, a rock in the Aegean Sea, totally isolated, no church, no support, just silence and sea. Bible guy. And yet, that's where he received the most expansive vision of God in Scripture. Revelation wasn't written in a cathedral, it was born in exile. Contemporary guy. So his resilience wasn't about avoiding pain, it was about trusting someone beyond it. Bible guy. Exactly. John had stood at the cross. He had seen Jesus breathe his last, but he also ran to the tomb and seeing it empty. He knew death didn't have the final word. So when Rome tried to silence him by sending him to Patmos, he didn't hear abandonment. He heard invitation. Contemporary guy, invitation. Bible guy, to see. Revelation 1 verse 10 says, I was in the spirit on the Lord's day, unquote. Even in exile, he was present with Christ. His circumstances shrunk, but his vision exploded. And I repeat for emphasis, his circumstances shrunk, but his vision exploded. Contemporary guy pausing near a nesting site marked by conservation signs. Look, those are red-billed tropic birds, rare, They only nest on a few islands like this. It's amazing how they thrive here with so little. Bible guy, life clings, waits hard. Life like John, he was the last apostle standing, not because he ran from martyrdom, but because God preserved him to finish a mission, to write, to love, to say to the church, and I quote, little children, love one another, unquote. Contemporary guy. So resilience isn't just endurance, it's fruitfulness in exile. Bible guy, yes, and it's rooted in resurrection. John's faith wasn't theoretical. He leaned on Jesus' chest at the Last Supper. He heard him say, because I live, you will also live. That kind of intimacy makes you indestructible, not because you can't be hurt, but because you know you are held. Contemporary guy, like these plants, roots in thin soil but still green. Bible guy, or like the tardigrade in the cryptobiosis, not dead, just waiting. John waited on Patmos, and while he waited, heaven spoke. Contemporary guy. I think what we are missing today here, I think that's what we are missing today. We treat resilience like a personal achievement, a grind that means grind harder, bounce back faster. But John's story says it's about surrender, not strength. Bible guy, precisely. Biblical resilience is patient endurance. The Greek word is hypomone. It doesn't mean passive waiting. It means abiding under the weight, like a tree in the wind that bends but it doesn't break because its roots are deep. Contemporary guy. And John's roots were deep in Jesus' resurrection. Bible guy. That's the anchor. When everything's stripped away, community, comfort, and even safety, you will still have the living one who holds the keys of death and Hades. That's not optimism, that's reality. Contemporary guy, sitting on a sun warm limestone slab, quiet for a moment. You know, I came here to photograph birds and get away from my regular ways of life. But I think I needed this more. Bible guy. And maybe that's why islands like this exist, not just to preserve wildlife, but to remind us let life essentially persist. Hope essentially persists notwithstanding circumstances. Contemporary guy, we are not called to be invulnerable, just indestructible by grace. The Bible guy, smiling and offering a hand to help him up, exactly like John, like these lizards in the rocks, like the church in every age, not because we are strong, but because the one who conquered death walks with us, even on dry, forgotten islands. Contemporary guy, standing on the Justin Escarp and looking towards the sea. All right, let's keep going. I hear there's a colony of frigate birds on the far side. Bible guy, lead on and keep your eyes open not just for wings in the sky, but for one who holds all things together. They walked on, boots hitting the dry leaves, the wind whispering through the shrub, the Caribbean sea stretching wide and blue all around them, and the sun shining on a small island brings them to the beautiful bounties of the grace of God, which is indestructible. Here ends Sabbath Voice Notes. This is Pastor Wendell Paul signing off on Sabbath Voice Notes. May God bless you abundantly.